Hey guys, welcome to my Ghibliathon vlog. So just before I get into what's going on this week, last week when I left you, I was currently reading Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers and The Queens of Innisleah by Tessa Gratton. So I'm not really going to go into any detail about what these are about because I'm putting them down for the time being for my Ghibliathon TBR. But I am around 75 pages into this one and I'm like just past the 300 mark on this one. If all goes well, I should be able to pick these up at the end of the week and I will count them for miscellaneous challenges on the tree when I've completed the actual path that I'm pursuing. So if you have not seen it and this is like your first vlog or whatever you've watched from me, or maybe your first video, then hello, this week is Ghibliathon. It is a read-a-thon. I'll put my TBR up here so you can check it out. But I am actually going to show you my TBR now. I just won't be going into too much detail about what every book is about. So this is part of my Ghibliathon TBR. So we have Living Dead in Dallas by Charlene Harris, Orange by somebody I can't see right now, The Umbrella Academy by Gerard Way and Gabriel Barr, Children of the Whales by Abby Umida, and Summer Days and Summer Nights, which is it's upside down, but you get the drift. This is what I'm reading this week. Now the book that isn't in this stack is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and I have actually already started that. So I have a game plan for this week, and the game plan is that I'm going to be reading 100 pages a day of the two like solid novels that I have in this TBR. So they are Living Dead in Dallas and Howl's Moving Castle. In addition to those 100 pages per day, I'm going to attempt, this is like the shakiest thing, I'm going to attempt to read 2 stories a day in this, which will last me 6 days. These are 12 summer romances by a whole host of authors. I have tabbed it up into daily sections. Now this is like 60 to 70 pages per day just on the short stories in this. So we'll see how this one goes. And then aside from that, I am aiming to read these in a day each, in addition to the 2 short stories on the 100 pages. And this chunky beast, I'm going to split this into 2 or possibly 3 days, like I have the room to do that in this TBR. But that is how I plan to tackle the week. Now wish me luck, because I didn't think it was that ambitious, but then I worked out the pages, and even though these are like short, well they're not short format, but because they're graphic novels manga, they have like 200 pages each, so they're quicker to read, but that's still a hell of a lot of pages. So I'm looking at reading about 350 pages a day at least, which is it's a lot. So today's Monday. It is 6:30 p.m. I am here a little bit later than I wanted to be. I had things going on which not happy about, but I am currently on page 100 exactly of Howl's Moving Castle, so I have achieved that for the day. Now Howl's Moving Castle is a book that I heard about on Jade from JD Reads channel. This is the group book for the readathon, as Howl's Moving Castle is also a Ghibli movie. I knew that this one was Scribd, so when I found out it was the group book, like I don't normally read group books, but this readathon requires that you read it first, as it's right at the top of the tree. And also I have actually wanted to read this, and I find that if I don't own a book physically or have it out from the library physically, I do forget about it. So I thought this would be the perfect excuse. Now I wasn't exactly sure what I was getting into with this because I haven't seen Howl's Moving Castle the movie. Hopefully, oh that's another thing, I also maybe want to watch 6 movies this week. We'll see how that goes. That's a definite maybe, but I'm definitely being ambitious and that is something I want to do. So I haven't seen Howl's Moving Castle, so I didn't know anything about it, but now I can tell you what it's about. So Howl's Moving Castle, I'm not sure if it's a young adult or a children's book because it reads very much like a children's book, almost fairy tale-esque, and I'm loving the writing style. I love it so much. But Goodreads says it's young adult, so I see how it could be young adult in some of the themes, but I feel like the writing is definitely more children's. I'm actually going to text Gavin and see where they sell it at Waterstones, like what section, because that is definitely how I decide a lot of the time, like how I'm going to classify the books that I'm reading. So the plot of this is that we have our main character, Sophie. She's the eldest of 3 children, and for some reason, like, this book goes a lot on whimsy, like things happen that don't really make sense, but you kind of just roll with it, and that's why I feel like it's kind of more children's genre than young adult. Apparently in this world, the eldest child is never going to be successful, which is interesting because generally people find that the eldest child is normally the most successful of the children, or like that's a stereotype or whatever. So she's the eldest and her family runs a hat shop. She's a hatter's daughter. Now her father dies and her stepmother, who isn't an evil stepmother, I'll get more into like that kind of thing soon, realizes that they're in a lot of debt because the children go to a fancy school. So she says, look, I can't afford for you to be at school anymore, so I'm going to send you all off to apprenticeship. So she sends the youngest to apprentice under a witch, the middle child to a baker, and the eldest, our main character Sophie, she keeps at the hat shop. Now Sophie is quite talented with needle and thread, and one day she goes to see her sister, and her sister says that maybe her not so evil stepmother is actually exploiting her. The hat shop has been doing well recently, yet Sophie doesn't get a wage. So Sophie's just minding her own business when the Witch of the Waste comes in. Now there are two notorious characters in this world. One is the Witch of the Waste and one is a wizard who lives in this moving castle that rotates around the edges of the town called Howl. Now one day the Witch of the Waste comes into the hat shop and she curses Sophie and says, you're not going to be able to tell anyone that you're cursed, but I've cursed you now, and Sophie is now an old lady. So she then suddenly decides, this is like another place where whimsy comes in, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but Sophie decides she's going to go seek her fortune and try and get this curse removed. And while she's on her way to wherever she's going, she's really tired because she's old and she hasn't walked that far. Thought she walked a lot more, but she's just looking for somewhere to hunker down for the night, and she ends up in Howl's moving castle, where she strikes up an agreement with a fire demon that she will break his contract with Howl if he will remove her curse. And that is kind of the setup for the story. I'm 100 pages into it. I really like Howl, and one of the things, like I said about the not so evil stepmother, that I would get into, one of the things that I do love about this is that it is not a parody of a fairy tale, but it does some things differently to traditional fairy tales while still reading like a fairy tale. For example, how the stepmother is not evil, and there have also been references to Cinderella, the Wizard of Oz, and the Knights of the Round Table, which I really appreciated. So right at the beginning, the Cinderella one's used where it says that the youngest child is the daughter of the stepmother, so she's like a legitimate daughter, and it says like, you think that would make us ugly stepsisters, but this stepmother treats us all equally. So I'm really appreciating those kind of fairy tale aspects of it. So my plan for the night is that I still have to edit last week's vlog. I did put an hour of editing in yesterday. I think I have about 2 hours of editing left, although I haven't imported all of the footage, so I'm not entirely sure, but I think I'm going to spend at least an hour editing that. Maybe read one of these short stories, because I have 2 to read today if I'm going to stay on track, finish the vlog, and then read the second story, and then try and read Children of Wales Volume 2 all in one sitting. I am kind of working in order down the tree, but like in sections. So I'm reading the first full-length novel that's on the tree, which is the group book. I'm reading the first manga that I've got in my TBR. This one is for Ponyo, to read a book that features the sea, and then this is kind of just going to stretch throughout the week, and this is for my neighbours the Yamadas, to read an anthology. So those are my plans for the night. I'm going to go and get on with things now because I'm quite conscious of time and trying to get all this in. I'm super ambitious, and normally that would stress me out, but I'm actually really excited. If it gets to be too much towards the end of the week, then I will just curb back my TBR and probably not read some of them, because what I don't want to do is go into next week having lots of these half finished. So I'm really excited, I'm really ambitious, and I will check in with you probably later on, if not tomorrow, if I do manage to finish this tonight. But like I said, I do have a little bit of wiggle room on the manga and graphic novels. Hey guys, so I have my reading update of what happened last night. I was going to update you last night, but my boyfriend went out. He went to, it wasn't like rehearsal, but he just went to play guitar with his friend. He came back when I had like 40 pages left of the last book that I was reading last night, and I was going to update you after that, but then he came home and I pretty much went to sleep as soon as I'd finished. I was up until about 1:30 AM last night, but I did get the shit done. So for what I actually read last night, I read the first 2 stories in Summer Days and Summer Nights, which puts me at page 58 in this. So the first 2 stories were by Leigh Bardugo and Nina Delacour. Is that her name? No, just Nina Delacour. What I'm going to do for this, what I normally do when I read short stories or anthologies, is I rate them individually and then I work out an average. So I always end up with a stupid average for anthologies, like 3.72 or something ridiculous like that. So the first story was by Leigh Bardugo. That was called Head, Tongue, Teeth, Scales, or Head, Tongue, yeah, Head, Tongue, Teeth, Scales. And that was a very atmospheric summer romance about a girl who lives in New York State. One day she's skipping stones across the lake and she sees a beast that is similar to kind of like the Loch Ness Monster. She goes and asks an old woman who lives in the town, who is known to have like a mystical past, about it, and the woman puts her in touch with this boy who summers there every single year. I gave that one 4 stars. I really liked that one. I love Leigh Bardugo's writing so much, and I've only just got back into the Grisha because I was having a hard time with my memory over time of that series, but I'm back into the Grisha, or should I say with Grisha, and yeah, I definitely think that Leigh Bardugo is a very good writer. The second story was called The End of Love, and this one was by Nina LaCour. I gave this one 3 stars overall, and this one follows a girl who is having a difficult time at home at the moment, and so she signs up to do a summer class that she doesn't need to do just so that she can be out of the house. And while she's there, she meets a girl that she had a crush on a few years ago who is taking that class because she needs to. Our main character doesn't really want to deal with those feelings, and there's camping in it, and I did enjoy that one. I just don't like Nina LaCour's writing all that much. It's very dramatic, very like short, sharp sentences, which is kind of common in contemporary, which I think Nina LaCour writes. But her writing style, it wasn't 100% for me, but I did enjoy it. It was a good story, and her writing style is okay. Just didn't love it. So 4 stars for the first one, 3 stars for the second one. It's really ironic actually. I'm not sure how much you can hear because I put my camera in the window when I film here, but over the last 2 days we have experienced some quite stormy weather. It's very windy and it's raining, and I'm snuggled up in bed. Like, this is a winter jumper. I've got a winter jumper out today because it's windy. It hasn't stopped raining for 2 days. I've just been watching the news. They said we've had like a month's worth of rain since 6 p.m. Like, this place is flooded in the UK right now, and I'm reading atmospheric summer romances where everybody's all hot and sticky and eating ice cream. And honestly, I felt like pulling out the winter one of these because it wasn't doing it for me just because of the weather, but I guess it transports me to a more summery location. So after that, I started and finished Children of the Whales Volume 2 by Abby Umeda. Now this is for the prompt Ponyo on the Cliff by the Sea. I think that's like the full title of the film. And this is a manga series that follows Chikuro, who is a 14-year-old archivist on the Mud Whale. The Mud Whale is a floating island, and he chronicles the births and deaths and the daily activities on the Mud Whale. Now what I forgot, I didn't know if it was being used literally when I read the first volume, and I kind of forgot all about it, but he has hypographia, which I'm not sure if that is a real thing. I'm gonna look that up now because it seems like it is a real thing. Yeah, okay, so hypographia is a behavioral condition characterized by the intense desire to write or draw. So technically there is representation in here for hypographia, and I believe it is something that compels you to record absolutely everything about your life. Now I couldn't say whether the representation in this is accurate or not because it is something that I didn't know existed until I read this, and also I feel like it could also just be used to further the narrative that he is an archivist. The sort of first volume starts off where he just literally wants to record everything that happens. He thinks it will be useful for the future, and they have no other written records of everything that goes on. It's kind of just the basics, who dies, etc, etc. So this is rated for older teens. I've categorized it as adult because in my spreadsheet where I organize my stats I have young adult or adult. This is very appealing to a young adult audience, but it also has quite a lot of brutality. There is a massacre included in this series as a whole. A lot of it is pretty grim, even though it has the most beautiful art style. I'll see if I can find that full page spread that has like no spoilers at all on it. So this is the kind of art that we have in here. It is absolutely stunning. So like, if you prefer young adult books, you could definitely read this. It's just a little bit brutal. I'm not sure how it goes on further on. It could get a lot worse. This one finished in a place that's pretty dire for the characters, so it very well could get a lot worse as it goes on, but it is rated for older teen. I'm just categorizing it as adult because new adult feels weird for a fantasy manga. But I gave this 5 stars. I didn't mention that. I gave this 5 stars, and that is one book for Ghibliathon down. So today's reading update. I am on page 189 of Howl's Moving Castle. I'm very behind today and I have a video to film. I'm filming a summer TBR in this hideous weather. I know, it just gets better, but I'm still really enjoying Howl's Moving Castle. I did look into it. I messaged Gavin last night and I asked where they sold Howl's Moving Castle in Waterstones, and he said in the 9 to 12 section because it is a children's book. And then I went back onto Goodreads to check because I thought that I was going crazy, but no, a lot of people have categorized it as young adult. It is definitely a children's book, but I would say it is in the vein of the middle of the Harry Potter series, where it is still very much aimed at children, but it also has a lot of things that young adults and adults will be able to take from that. I'm very much enjoying it. I mentioned the fairy tale references yesterday. We've also had a reference today to Alice in Wonderland, which I really appreciated. The one thing that I haven't liked about this so far, and I was loving it so much, it has a contemporary element I was not expecting. I do not appreciate. We'll have to see where that goes. I do plan on reading the entire trilogy because I'm loving this so much, so we will see where that goes in the future. But it's the one thing about it that I don't really like. And now I need to double check if Diana Wynne-Jones is American because it reads very British. And there's also mention of Wales, which is in the UK. Okay, so this is that Diana Wynne-Jones is Welsh Anglican. Where am I getting this dodgy ass information from about this damn book? So my plans for the night, very ambitious. I need to read, I think, one more chapter. It's hard to tell on script, especially when you're reading on your phone because the pages are smaller than like desktop pages. But I think one more chapter will take me over the 200 page limit that I want to be at for tonight. So I'm probably going to go film my video now, read that one chapter, go for a shower. It's nail painting day and technically I should be watching Ponyo. Now I want to watch it with my boyfriend. He said that he would watch the Ghibli movies with me and he is having dinner at his mum's right now. He's coming home tonight but I think he has some work to do. So I'm not sure if I will be able to watch that tonight, which would kind of be helpful because I have a lot of reading to do. So I don't think tonight is going to be as successful of a reading night as it was last night, but that's okay. Like I said, I've given myself a lot more extra time. Like I'm trying to cram everything into as few days as possible. So I do have a lot more extra time that I haven't accounted for this readathon. But I'm aiming for 2 short stories in this, which will be about 60 pages. And then I'm hoping to start Orange by Ichigo Takano, and this one will fulfill the prompt for Grave of the Fireflies, which is to read a sad book. This is real big, so I'm not aiming to finish this in one night like I did with Children of Wales. I'm aiming for about 250 pages. Definitely know that that's not going to happen, but especially with the manga and the graphic novels, I've way crammed them into like less days than I need to. So maybe 100 pages of this would be okay, although this, unlike Children of Wales, does not have numbered pages. So who knows what I'm going to do with that. But I'm going to go now because I am a little bit short for time. Like I said, I'm going to go film that video. And yeah, I will maybe film some B-roll tonight because I haven't been doing that recently. And I'll let you know tonight or tomorrow how I'm getting on with everything.
Woke up from a whisper, collared shirt down.
So last night I managed 2 more stories in there. I read the one by Libba Bray, which is called Last Stand at the Synagogue, and I read one by Francesca Leah Block called Sick Pleasure, I think. Let me just check that one. Francesca Leah Block, yeah. So the first one, Last Stand at the Synagogue, I gave 3 stars. It is about a horror cinema in this town that is about to be closed, and it's the last night that they'll be showing a film, kind of like the closing down party kind of thing, and they're showing this banned film that's supposedly cursed and every actor who was in it has died, but because it's a horror cinema and while it's the last night, they're showing this film. Now it's a short story, so I'm not going to spoil it for you, but some things happen. Like I was really enjoying it and then some things happen and it all just happened a bit fast and it was a bit weird and I didn't like it. So I think that would have been good if it was longer, if it wasn't a short story, but I did not enjoy that one very much. Then I moved on to Sick Pleasure by Francesca Leah Block, which is only, I think, it's less than 20 pages, I think, and I hated it. I hated it. There are aspects of it that I liked slightly, but I gave it 1 star. It follows this girl and her 3 friends. None of them have names, they all go by initials, and like you could say it's like a group friend thing, like they just call each other by their initials. But then she meets this guy who introduces himself by his initial, and it's just like a whole thing. It's told, the way that it was told I kind of appreciated, in that it kind of felt a little bit dreamlike and hazy, like drunken summer nights kind of thing. But aside from that, I didn't like anything about it. Trigger warnings for sexual assault that isn't challenged, and also just one line, I really hope I can find it, but Twitter has had a good laugh about this one horrendous line. Honestly, the worst sentence I've ever read. His mohawk, dark and majestic in the darkness. That's the whole sentence, guys. So yeah, I was not a fan of that one. 1 star. I have started the 5th story in this so already today, and that one is called In 90 Minutes Turn North by Stephanie Perkins. Oh, I didn't tell you what Sick Pleasure was about. Sick Pleasure is about a group of girls who are out partying throughout their summer evenings, and they go to this club frequently, and there's a group of boys there who have t-shirts that say Sick Pleasure, so they get t-shirts that say Healthy Pleasure. They don't know these boys, but they do that, and it's about the main character and the attraction she feels to one of the boys. It was bad, but anyway, I started In 90 Minutes Turn North by Stephanie Perkins. I'm about halfway through that one now, and that one is about a girl who was in a relationship with this boy. Their relationship lasted 4 months, and she moved to go to college to a different state, and she has come back to try and convince him to go and live with her. They broke up because long distance. She's come back to try and convince him to go back with her so that he has more of a future, because I'm gathering that at the end of their relationship he felt kind of trapped in this dead-end town. So that's what that's about. I'm enjoying that so far. This month I also read There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins, and I like that book. So I think I quite like her writing, although I don't think I'm ever going to read the Anna and the French Kiss, etc. trilogy. But I'm enjoying that so far. I have 20 pages left, and then tonight I will also be reading the next story, which is Souvenirs by Tim Verderl. I don't know who that author is, but that will be my next story. So aside from that, today I have finished Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. 5 stars, absolutely loved it. I thought it was magical, whimsical. I loved the feel of it. That contemporary aspect that I talked about yesterday, I didn't love. But everything else about it, I absolutely adored. I kind of wish it was longer. I've looked at the synopsis for the next book in the trilogy, and I think it's more of a companion novel. It's like an Arabian Nights type story. So I'm sad about that, because Sophie and Howl are just magic. I loved it. So definitely so thankful to Jade and also the Ghibliathon in general for making me read that book, because I adored it like so much. So that one is done, which means that I've completed the prompt for Pompoko. Children of the Whales was Ponyo. Also Children of the Whales, I used it for one of the Biblio Games prompts, and that was to read a book in a format you don't normally read. I think the prompt was Jim. So I did double up on that for that. This one is My Neighbours the Yamadas, and I didn't start Orange last night, so this one is Grave of the Fireflies. I haven't started this one yet. I'm hoping to start it tonight, but I may be watching Ponyo if I have time. I have a video to edit. I have a video for somewhere else to edit. I'm also going to yoga, so I don't know if I will be A, watching Ponyo, B, starting Orange. I think one of those things will happen, but which one I am unsure of as of yet. So I'm gonna go get on with some stuff. I have just under 2 hours until I'm going to yoga. That should be plenty of time to edit that video. I think I'm gonna read the last 20 pages of the story I'm in the middle of in this first, and I'll see how much I can get done today.
Voices filled the rooms upstairs. Our Ford was warm before we drove. Breakfast fresh on the stove. She walked out with the floral blouse.
Good evening, guys. So last night I watched an hour and 15 minutes of Ponyo. So I did start it, but then I started to fall asleep, so I'm going to watch the last 30 minutes of it tonight. As for reading, I read all of the short stories I was supposed to read, and last night my boyfriend, he was quite busy, so I thought we weren't going to get to watch Ponyo, so I opened this. See, when you open it, you have the end pages, and then you have just this one page here. Then you have like the chapter header for the first letter. And then just as I got here, my boyfriend came in and was like, do you want to watch Ponyo then? So I kind of started Orange, but I didn't really. However, I'm definitely starting that tonight. My boyfriend is out at the minute. His friend's band have got a rehearsal space in a real studio, so he's going to check that out, give them feedback, see how they're getting on and stuff. He'll probably be back quite late, so we will watch the 30 minutes of Ponyo when he's back. And until then, I'm gonna read, because Thursdays are my days when I don't have anything on, and it's great. I have no editing to do, I have no gym to go to, and I'm just gonna read a whole ton. So the short stories I read last night, there was the one that I told you about called In 90 Minutes Turn North. Is that what it was called? I gave that one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. My problem is that I'm feeling at the minute is I never know when to give a short story collection 5 stars, because I haven't read enough short stories to be able to kind of rate them on like an accurate scale, if you know what I mean. For example, I rate contemporaries different to fantasies. I'm not gonna rate everything by, is it John D. Nelson or Nicola Yoon? I'm not going to rate everything anyway on the same scale as I rate Game of Thrones, because they're 2 completely different books. Like, I personally feel that you have to rate within the context of what it is that you're reading, and I don't know how to rate short stories, just like I don't quite yet know how to rate manga. I always say I don't like short stories because they're short, which is a problem with my personal preferences and not the actual medium themselves because they're supposed to be short, but I'm a big fan of world building and development, and my favorite types of stories are the ones that are a series that spans like 10 books, and by the time you get to the end you're so in love with the characters and you're so attached to them, you've spent so much time with them that everything's like a punch in the heart. You don't get that with short stories, so I'm gonna say that In 90 Minutes Turn North is my favorite of all of the ones that I've read so far, probably joint with Head, Scales, Tongue and Tail. I also really enjoyed that one, but I feel like I'm not giving them 5 stars because they're short stories, and I don't know what to do about it, but 4 stars anyway. The second one was called Souvenirs, and that was by Tim Fadell. I would also give that one 4 stars, though I didn't enjoy it as much as In 90 Minutes Turn North. And that one follows 2 boys who work at a amusement park and they are in a relationship. The main character works at a booth and he's an introvert, and the other one's a theatre kid, and it takes place on the day that they are set to break up because that is the last day of the summer, and one of them will be going to college and one will be starting his senior year of high school. So they've kind of already come to this agreement they will be breaking up on that day, and it's just our main character's feelings about that, really. I enjoyed it. I didn't really like the theatre guy very much, but I liked how it ended. It was nice. I liked it. So I've already started the first story I'm reading today, and that is Inertia by Veronica Roth. I have 20 pages of this left. I'm actually really loving this so far because it's sci-fi and I love the concept. So this follows a girl and her best friend has been in a car accident and he is going to die. Now it doesn't state that it's in the future, but we have some medical technology in this that allows you to spend time with people who are like in intensive care and about to die. So when you're 18 you get to choose the people that you would give last visitation rights to in like a will. If anything happens to you, like you are in an accident and you're rushed to the hospital and they don't think that you can be saved, they will gather the people who are in this last visitation will to come and have electrodes placed on them, and they will journey into your consciousness and you will be able to re-explore your best memories together. You can also interact in that setting, so it's not like you're just reliving the memory. You are the person that you are now. You can interact with the person who's dying as they are now, but just like in the setting of shared consciousness. So it follows a girl whose best friend has been in an accident. They haven't spoken for a couple of months for some unknown reason, but she is one of his last visitors, and whatever's gonna happen there, like I'm 20 pages in, I don't know, but I love the concept so far. So my plans for tonight is I'm going to finish that, and then the next one is Love is the Last Resort by John Scovron. I don't know that author either. So I'll be reading those 2 short stories tonight, and then I will be diving into Orange, which I'm still really excited about, and I will read this. I will, do not doubt me. This is being done. So I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna have a quick shower. I'm not washing my hair, thankfully, so that's one less thing that needs to be done. I'm gonna get a shower. I'm gonna put my pajamas on. I'm gonna get a nice glass of Pepsi Max to be specific, and I'm gonna read my little heart out. I'm so excited. Hey, so it's actually like 30 seconds later because I've got to tell you that I started Living Dead in Dallas by Charlene Harris today as well. So I'm 100 pages into this. For the Ghibliathon, this fulfills the prompt, is it called The Wind Rises? When the Wind Rises? And the prompt for that is to read an adult romance, so that's what I'm reading this for. This is also my first Bookopoly roll for June to read a paranormal or a magical realism. This is the second book in the Sookie Stackhouse series, which is the series of books that True Blood is based on, and it follows Sookie Stackhouse, who is a waitress and a barmaid, I guess, in this bar in a small town in Louisiana, and one day a vampire walks into her bar and she is very attracted to him. So this is very much paranormal romance. It's smutty, and there is also a murder mystery plotline running through the first book, and also there's a new murder mystery plotline started in this one. So I've heard that Charlene Harris writes a lot of cozy mystery, so I guess you would say these are like paranormal romance cozy mystery. I did not like the first book. I thought it was terribly written. Elvis turned up at one point, which was just a big what the fuck moment. The love interest is like a cardboard cutout, like Dracula, like the personality of Dracula, so not a lot of personality, just tall, brooding, and a vampire. Like less personality than Angel. He's not good. And Sookie radiated some serious dumb bitch energy. Now I'm 100 pages into this and I am enjoying it more. So there is that. I didn't expect the first book to be all that good, because when you have such long series as this, there's definitely 13 books in this series. I don't know if there's any more than that, but when you have such long series, they're not extremely well written. They're not supposed to be like great literary masterpieces, but As Charlene Harris is an author who knows her genre, she's been writing cozy mystery for a long time, kind of expected better from her really. I know a lot of people really love this series and they do argue that it is well written because the things that happen in the first book are explained later in the series. But if things happen and aren't challenged and the characters just accept them and they don't question them, which leads the reader to just accept them and not question them because there's no air of mystery built, I don't personally think that's good writing. But this one is definitely better from the start. I don't hate Bill as much. I don't hate Suki as much. There are still some things that aren't great. These books are a little bit racist, a little bit homophobic, and I believe that definitely reflects the atmosphere of like small town Louisiana. Like, I can't say for sure, but I have been told that that does like reflect people's attitudes in that state. But like I said, I can't say for sure. I've never been to Louisiana. So there are things like that that are a bit icky, but I'm enjoying it a lot more than I did the first one. I don't have any huge complaints about it. Like, I'm not about to go on a rant about this one. I just thought I'd pop in and tell you that I've read 100 pages of this as well today, and now I'm gonna go back and carry on with what I was about to do.
Back then, everyone was near.
Hey, so I've just finished the 2 short stories in Summer Days and Summer Nights. So the first one, Inertia, is the sci-fi story that I was talking about. 4 stars to that. I definitely enjoyed it. And then the second one was called Love is the Last Resort by John Scovron, and 4 stars to that one as well. That one follows quite a large cast of characters. We follow 4 employees at a resort, 3 children of guests, and then 2 of the parents. It was like campy and pantomime in places, but I actually really liked that about it. I feel like sticking a star rating on these is really difficult. I feel like I should have don't like, was okay, and like, because I'm just bad at this, okay? I'm bad at rating short stories. So I'm gonna go get a drink because I'm very thirsty. My glass ran empty quite a while ago, but I was determined not to move until I'd finished my short stories. So we are 8 down in this now with 4 to go, and I'm 250 pages into it. And when I've got my drink, I'm finally gonna start Orange, and I'm really excited about it. Hey, so we are on Friday evening now, and if you are still here, thank you, because I've just imported all of the footage I have so far for this vlog, and it's a lot. So this is what happens when you read a lot. It's a lot. So I've just finished my 2 short stories for the day in Summer Days and Summer Nights, and it was not a great reading experience today. So the first one I read was Good Luck and Farewell by Brandy Colbert. That one is about a girl whose cousin is going to be moving to San Francisco with her girlfriend, and her cousin is this girl's like best friend and sort of guardian. So she really resents her cousin's girlfriend for taking her away from her, and then she starts talking to the cousin's girlfriend's brother. That one I gave 3 stars. It was okay. I didn't care for it really. It was just kind of nothing. I don't have any strong opinions on it either way. But then I read Brand New Attraction by Cassandra Clare. This one takes place in a carnival, and the setting is great. It's a dark carnival that's powered by a demon, and this girl technically owns it. Her father owns it, but he kind of ran away. The carnival's failing and her uncle comes back to save it with his stepson. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that Cassandra Clare really loves an almost incest plotline, because the romance in question in this one is between the main character and her step cousin, which you know, like a lot of us have read The Mortal Instruments, we know what Cassandra Clare is apparently into. So aside from that, I really loved the atmosphere of it. I loved where the plot was going. The plot was great, but it was very rushed. It was just plodding along nicely, and then everything started happening. Nothing made any sense, and it was just wrapped up really badly. Like, the beginning was great aside from the step cousin stuff, and everything else was just awful. So 2 stars to that one. But I'm on page 311 of this now, so I have 2 short stories left that I will read tomorrow, and then I'm done with this and I will work out what my star rating for this one's going to be. I'm now on page 200 of Living Dead in Dallas by Charlene Harris. I don't have anything to say about this apart from that I'm still enjoying it, which is surprising. There has been some more dodgy content in here, like problematic wise, and it just feels weird, you know. I think it's just because I'm not too used to reading books like this, like big serialized series. To me, series like this read like episodes of TV shows. Like the Dresden Files is kind of the same, although from what I remember, I do prefer the Dresden Files more. So anything that's kind of like more than 10 books, they're kind of really episodic. I feel like they're pumped out, is it like 2 a year that you normally get in series like this? And they're not as well developed as what I normally read, because that's not what they're intended to be, kind of thing. They're more like light, easy, fun reads. I'm still enjoying this one, but guys, I started Orange and this far into it, I have this, like the small section is what I have left. I love this. I love this so much. I don't think I'm going to tell you too much about this now, because I'm going to edit my vlog, or what I have of it so far, for an hour, and then maybe read some more of this. I am possibly going to be watching a movie tonight. I was going to watch Pompoko, but I don't have it readily available, so we might watch Howl's Moving Castle. Depends how the evening goes on, but I might want to finish this. And I've Amazon Primed myself the second volume because I'm in love with this story. I'm so deep in my feels. I will tell you like concrete thoughts and what exactly I love about it tomorrow, and like a more detailed synopsis when I've like 100% finished this. But I'm like, every 5 pages I'm so deep in my feels, and not even in sad ways. Like, this is a sad story in general, like we're trying to prevent somebody from dying, but just all of the feels, like unrequited love and anticipation of love and the romance, and I love it so much. This could be my favorite book of the year so far, which is more surprising to me than anybody, but yeah, I'm adoring this. So that is what I've got for you now. I've been to the gym this evening, and like I said, I've imported that footage that I need to start editing because I have 40 minutes so far and it's going to take me the longest time to edit, so I better get started now. But I will check in with you tomorrow morning, or you know, if I'm crying at the end of Orange Volume 1, I will get that on camera for you, I guess.
That is not what I meant when I asked for a place to stay.
Today is gonna be a little something more. I've got a plan in mind, a special thing in store. The light bulb inside my head says, get out and play, 'cause you never feel this way. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day. It's my lucky day, my lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold.
Hello, good afternoon. So it is Saturday, it is early afternoon, it's around 1 PM, and if somebody else is here, I'm gonna scream. So I woke up this morning full of productivity and I've got plenty to do today, one of which is filming my videos for the rest of the week. Now I'm filming 2 videos, one of which you should have seen by the time this goes up, and that will be my mid-month wrap-up. I'm reading quite a lot, as you can probably tell from this vlog, in the first 2 weeks of June, so I definitely need to do a mid-month wrap-up, and there's going to be quite a lot of books in that. However, I realised that with my schedule for Ghibliathon and how I've been reading, while I will have finished these by the end of the day, I have not currently finished Orange, Living Dead in Dallas, or Summer Days and Summer Nights. So then I realised that I better hurry up and finish these before I film. So that kind of knocked me out of whack because I'm trying to integrate reading into the other things I'm doing. Because I have to get that video up tomorrow, I don't want to be filming at midnight because then I'll still have to edit it. So I've been reading today, obviously, and I've just finished Living Dead in Dallas by Charlene Harris. I gave this 3 stars. I enjoyed it a lot more than I did enjoy the first one. It was definitely compelling. Lots of aspects I enjoyed about it. It still has a lot of plot conveniences and some things that I feel like just come out of nowhere with no explanation, but it was definitely enjoyable, and I do think it was a lot better than the first book in this series. So 3 stars for this. I will still be continuing on, mainly because Eric is present in these books, but she's with Bill. But I believe that changes later on, so I really just want to get to Eric, so I'll be continuing with this series. So I have had, I'm not sure who's been promoting me, but somebody must have been promoting me somewhere, because I have got quite a few orders over the last few days, so I'm going to be working on those now. But then I'm also going to be continuing with Orange. I still absolutely adore this. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you too much until I finished it, but I only have this much left, which is 3 chapters or 3 letters. So I anticipate I will finish this in no time. So while I'm working on candles and stuff and like in the waiting periods, I will finish up this one and then I will get back to you and let you know what I think.
Slept in, cause I don't care, and didn't make the bed. Sip coffee on my couch, what can I do instead? No work, it's only fun, cause it's all okay. Cause you never.
Well, hello there, I have finished Orange Volume 1. I give it 5 stars. You could have probably guessed that. I didn't need to come and tell you that. As well as that, Volume 2 arrived as well. And you don't understand the restraint that I'm having not to just pick this up straight away. But not yet. Because as well as the fact that like I have other books on my TBR that I should be reading, I don't want this story to end yet. And if I just binge Volume 2, then I'll have no more story left. Orange is a seinen manga, which I don't think I said that right. I think seinen is like older teenagers, kind of like a new adult category, so like late teenage years, early 20s. And it follows a girl who receives a letter saying that a boy is going to transfer into her class at school and that she has to do everything that she possibly can to save him, because if she doesn't, he's going to die. The letter comes from her future self, 10 years in the future, and this does switch between the present day, or like technically the past, like when she's 16 and when she's 26. It switches between the two, but it's definitely more rooted in the 16 timeline. The friendship dynamics in this are unrivaled. We have a group of 6 people. This is 3 of them. These are kind of the 3 main ones, but then you also have these 3 as well. And I love their dynamics. They're all very different. And my favorite one of the group is Suwa. Suwa? Is that how you say his name? Well, it just makes me want to die. I love him so much. So this does deal with some heavy topics, trigger warnings for depression, mental health issues, suicide. But I do think that this is absolutely beautiful. From the first like 50 pages, I was deep in my feels, and it's not sad all the way through. You do have a sad undercurrent going through because you know that the aim of this is for our main character to prevent the death of her friend. But there's also unrequited love and first love and a love triangle that's absolutely perfect. Like, I don't mind a love triangle, but I understand how they're cliche and not very well done, but this love triangle was absolutely perfect, and I can't imagine a single person not liking the love triangle in this. Everything about it was just beautiful. I felt all of the things, all of the emotions, and this is my favourite book of the year so far. That is how much I love it. I just loved it so much. I don't really know what else I can say about it, because at this point high-pitched squealing would more adequately describe my feelings on this than actually articulating things. But I would highly recommend reading this. If you are new to manga, maybe don't start with this, because the way the panels are laid out, this is the most complex formatted manga that I've ever read, just in that some of them overlap and you have things that aren't normally seen in comics, such as thoughts outside of thought bubbles and things like that. Like, that's the first time I've encountered that kind of thing in a manga. So if you're really nervous about reading manga, then I would recommend reading something else before this. But if you're not particularly intimidated by the format, or you are familiar with reading manga, then read this, because it's really damn good. So I have put my makeup on so that I can film whenever I'm ready to film. I have to put my camera battery on charge because I've been vlogging quite a lot. I'm not sure what I'm going to do while I wait for that. I do still have, ideally, the last 2 stories in this to read, preferably before I film, but you know what? I already have 6 books to talk about, so if I don't get this in the mid-month wrap-up, it's fine. It'll just go to my end of month wrap up, and it's not like I have a great deal to say about this because I can't go into a breakdown of every story like I have here. So it's kind of just going to be like, this is a collection of short stories, and I'll probably say my favourites. So if I don't finish this before I film, then I'm not mad about it. But I think I'm going to read the first of the 2 short stories that I have to read today while I'm waiting for my camera battery. And then I have food in the oven, and I have no idea how long that's going to take because I'm making baked potatoes, and honestly I just got to keep stabbing them until they're done. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing for the afternoon. It is like 5, it's nearly 5 now. So I will probably just read a short story, eat and film. But I will check in with you probably later on if I do manage to finish that, and if not, tomorrow for the last book of Ghibliathon that I haven't started yet. and also the wrap up of the week. Hey, so we're going on for Sunday evening now, but I finally just finished Summer Days and Summer Nights, and I am so glad. I don't think I'm going to read a short story collection in a read-a-thon again, because reading 2 stories per day was just not doing it for me, and I found a lot of them were dragging. But as for the last 2 stories I read, the first one was 1,000 Ways This Could All Go Wrong by Jennifer E. Smith. I did enjoy this one. I think I gave it 3 stars. It was kind of a standard romance about a girl who works at a summer camp looking after the kids and leading them in like play and sport and stuff, and she asks the boy out who goes to her school. There is a boy in the group that she's looking after who has autism, and she struggles to deal with him because she's had no experience interacting with anybody with autism. And her date turns up, and the little boy's mum is late for picking him up, and her date deals with him really well. So there is autism representation in here, which was really nice. But as for the love story, it was just kind of average and I didn't love it. But the last story in this was a 5-star, and I really enjoyed it, and that was The Map of Tiny Perfect Things by Lev Grossman. And this is like a Groundhog Day situation. They are perpetually stuck in August 4th. We follow our main character, who is a boy who is the only person who realizes that they're stuck. Everybody else just does exactly the same thing every single day, until he meets a girl who also is not stuck. So what they do to kind of stave off the boredom of being stuck in the same day where everybody is doing the same thing over and over again is they start to notice perfect moments. For example, a hawk diving into the sea to catch a fish, and somebody performing like a perfect trick on a skateboard, and they start to make a map of all of these perfect things. And I really liked the message that it told of living in the moment and to appreciate the tiny miracles that happen every single day. So I really enjoyed that one. I give it 5 stars. I have worked out my overall rating for this. I worked it out in a percentage way, so out of 100% it got 65%, which works out at a 3.5. I will probably round that to 4 on Goodreads and specify that it's 3.5 just because it's like a mathematical rating as opposed to a legitimate one kind of thing. So that was that. Worked out kind of average as I expected it to. I enjoyed most of the stories in this, but not many of them will stick with me. I think my issue with short stories is that when I really enjoy a book, it means that it has had a huge emotional impact on me, and I was like turning every page. I was really engrossed in what was happening. Most of the time I'm really connected to the characters, and I just can't get that level of emotion from a short story that is equivalent in size to 2 chapters of a full-length novel, which is probably why you find me rating really chunky books 5 stars, and 300-page books are more like a 3 or a 4 stars. I'm done with that one. I am dreading editing this vlog. I still have half of the week to import, but I am going to do a little bit of editing on that tonight. And while I am working through some edits and doing a few other bits, I'm going to read Umbrella Academy Volume 1, which I don't have with me right now. I think it's over there. I just haven't picked it up yet because I've literally just finished this and I'm about to cook dinner. But when I have finished Umbrella Academy, I will come back and finally wrap up this vlog. Hey guys, so we are on Monday now. And the reason that we are on Monday is that I did not manage to finish the Umbrella Academy Apocalypse Suite until right before I went to sleep. I finished this really late. It was technically past midnight, but whatever. So I did finish this. I gave it 3 stars. This was for the prompt Howl's Moving Castle to read a book with a sassy sidekick, which it kind of delivered on. So if you don't know the storyline of Umbrella Academy, they've just made a Netflix show out of it, and personally I prefer the Netflix show. I'm going to give you more of a synopsis of the show because there's some things in this that are framed as reveals in the show that are given to you right at the beginning of this, and I think it's a lot more impactful the way that the show reveals it. So I'm going to do it in a way that doesn't spoil any of the things that you know right at the beginning of the comic and aren't spoilers for the comic but are spoilers for the show. So in this we follow 7 people. At the time that the story is unfolding, they are around 30. Essentially they were anomalies when they were born. 40 something women around the world randomly gave birth even though they weren't pregnant before they just miraculously gave birth. Reginald Hargreaves, who is a scientist and a millionaire, adopted as many of them as he could find, but he could only find 7, and each of these children has an ability. When they were children, they were treated as superheroes. They went out and saved the world from various things, but as they grew older, they started to resent their upbringing and resent their adoptive father, who treated them more as test subjects and tools than actual children, and they've very much grown apart. They're not really in contact with each other, and they're certainly not in contact with their father. However, their father died dies, and they are all brought back together at the Umbrella Academy for the funeral. And while they are there, one of these siblings that has been missing for about 20 years pops back up and says that they need to save the world in the next 3 days. Now, I gave this 3 stars because there were some aspects of it that I liked. I like the way that some of this is told, like the beginning and the end. I don't like the art in this, but I do really like these full page spreads that are at the beginning of every volume. But generally, I don't like the art in this. It's more like superhero action comic kind of art than what I typically like. I normally like art that's present in, I mainly see it in Image comics. So if you think like the Saga series, and while we're talking about the Saga series, something else I really like in my graphic novels is a focus on the characters and the relationships that they have with people. Now, in the show for the Umbrella Academy, the characters are really fleshed out, and the complexity and grey morality of the characters is what I like the most about it. But this is a lot more plot driven than the show is. It's very action packed. There are things in here that don't happen in the show at all. There are things that happen in the show that don't happen in here at all. But I definitely think that the show took the characters, fleshed them out, made them a lot more human than they are in this. That type of story where we have complexity and grey morality and vigilantes and things like that is more what I'm into than action-based superheroes, we're gonna save the world and smash things kind of story. So 3 stars for this. I do have volume 2. I will read it at some point, and volume 3 will be out later this year. I will probably continue with this series, although not as the volumes are released, because I want a second season of the show. I'm hoping they're going to greenlight that sometime soon. So I kind of want to know what the comics have in store for the show, although I do kind of want to watch the show before I read the comics, just in case I spoil myself, as I do prefer it in the TV show medium. But that's what I thought of that, which means that in the Ghibliathon week, I finished 6 books. So these are the 6 books that I finished for Ghibliathon. I think I've stacked them in order of the prompts because I haven't been telling you as I've been completing them what prompts they are for. But I think we have The Wind Rises, which is an adult romance, Ponyo, which is a book set by the sea, My Neighbours the Yamadas, which is an anthology, Grave of the Fireflies, which was a sad book, and Howl's Moving Castle, a sassy sidekick. And then of course on top we should have Howl's Moving Castle, which fulfilled the prompt Pompoko, which was the group book. I can't believe that I read all these in 1 week. I really am shocked. I can't believe that I did it, but I did. I'm now on 8 books read for the month so far, and we're like halfway through. But thank you for joining me on what is sure to be an epically long vlog. I really need to go edit that now. I still only have Monday to Thursday imported, and we're on 35 minutes. So when I import the rest, it's sure going to be a hell of a lot. But if you have made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me on this wild week of reading. But I'm going to go now. I don't want to take up any more of your time because, like I said, lengthy vlog. So please don't forget to like this if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to. And I will see you next week, guys. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.